al-Bukhari 811. Narrated al-Bara bin Azib. He was not a liar. We used to pray behind the Prophet, and when he said, Sami'a Allahu liman hamida, none of us would bend his back to go for prostration till the Prophet had placed his forehead on the ground. Sahih al-Bukhari 812. Narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet said, I have been ordered to prostrate on 7 bones, i.e. on the forehead along with the tip of the nose, and the Prophet pointed towards his nose, both hands, both knees, and the toes of both feet, and not to gather the clothes or the hair. Sahih al-Bukhari 813. Narrated Abu Salama. Once I went to Abu Sa'id al-Khudri and asked him, won't you come with us to the date palm trees to have a talk? So Abu Sa'id went out, and I asked him, tell me what you heard from the Prophet about the night of Qadr. Abu Sa'id replied, once Allah's Messenger performed i'tikaf, seclusion, on the first 10 days of the month of Ramadan, and we did the same with him. Gabriel came to him and said, the night you are looking for is ahead of you. So the Prophet performed the i'tikaf in the middle, 10 days of the month of Ramadan, and we too performed i'tikaf with him. Gabriel came to him and said, the night which you are looking for is ahead of you. In the morning of the 20th of Ramadan, the Prophet delivered a sermon saying, whoever has performed i'tikaf with me should continue it. I have been shown the night of Qadr, but have forgotten its date, but it is in the odd nights of the last 10 nights. I saw in my dream that I was prostrating in mud and water. In those days the roof of the mosque was made of branches of date palm trees. At that time the sky was clear and no cloud was visible, but suddenly a cloud came and it rained. The Prophet led us in the prayer, and I saw the traces of mud on the forehead and on the nose of Allah's Messenger. So it was the confirmation of that dream. Sahih al-Bukhari 814. Narrated Sahl bin Sa'di. The people used to pray with the Prophet, tying their izars around their necks because of their small sizes, and the women were directed that they should not raise their heads from the prostrations till the men had sat straight. Sahih al-Bukhari 815. Narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet was ordered to prostrate on 7 bony parts and not to tuck up his clothes or hair. Sahih al-Bukhari 816. Narrated Ibn Abbas. The Prophet said, I have been ordered to prostrate on 7 bones, and not to tuck up the hair or garment. Sahih al-Bukhari 817. Narrated Aisha. The Prophet used to say frequently in his bowing and prostrations, Subhanaka Allahumma Rabbana wa bihamdika, Allahumma gfir li, exalted, from unbecoming attributes, are you, O Allah our Lord, and by your praise, do I exalt you. O Allah, forgive me. In this way, he was acting on what was explained to him in the Holy Quran. Sahih al-Bukhari 818, 819. Narrated Abu Kilaba. Once Malik bin Huwairith said to his friends, shall I show you how Allah's Messenger used to offer his prayers? And it was not the time for any of the compulsory congregational prayers. So he stood up for the prayer, bowed and said the takbir, then he raised his head and remained standing for a while, and then prostrated and raised his head for a while, sat up for a while. He prayed like our Sheikh Amr ibn Salama. Ayub said, the latter used to do a thing which I did not see the people doing, i.e. he used to sit between the 3rd and the 4th rak'ah. Malik bin Huwairith said, we came to the Prophet, after embracing Islam, and stayed with him. He said to us, when you go back to your families, pray such and such a prayer at such and such a time, pray such and such a prayer at such and such a time, and when there is the time for the prayer, then only of you should pronounce the adhan for the prayer, and the oldest of you should lead the prayer. Sahih al-Bukhari 820. Narrated al-Bara. The time taken by the Prophet in prostrations, bowing, and the sitting interval between the 2 prostrations was about the same.